Cut it.
Welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. Everything you need to know about moving to and living in New Zealand.
There's a whole world here.
So nice to be with you again.
We call it Aotearoa around here, bro.
You'll be right.
We are your hosts, Liz and Brian.
Amazing New Zealand in the southern seas.
See, that's where I belong. That's home.
Hello and welcome back to the NZ Ahead podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And you are listening to part 3 of our wonderful series that we created for you, all about asking our members of our community, how certain are they that they really do want to move to New Zealand? So in this last episode in the series, you are going to hear from 6 more people in our membership.
6 people. Yeah.
6 people, yeah. We were going to break it down into 2, weren't we, Brian? Then we said, no, do you know what? It's too hard to choose.
Yep.
And it's just like, no, let's just go out with a bang. So we put them all together and we're gonna share them with you. If you're new to this episode and you're thinking, what is she talking about? We put a question out to our private community members on our Slack group, to everyone who wants to move to New Zealand, who is in the process of moving to New Zealand. And we put a question out to them, asking them, how sure were they? What percentage did they feel on a day-to-day basis of how sure they were about moving to New Zealand?
Yeah, which it's, if you've listened to the other ones, I know, but like you say, if you're new to the show or this episode, it's literally day to day, but you start off with a figure, don't you? You're coming over to New Zealand, you've got to be kind of like above 50%, but some people are like straight off the bat, they're 100%. Yeah. I'm moving. Yeah. I want to move to New Zealand. I went on holiday, love it. I want to go back. But then the doubts start to come in, don't they? Like, you know, you've got to put the house, well, we're comfortable in the house. Oh, well, we're this, we're that. You know, the kids like the school and, you know, how old are the kids and those ages. And that's what all this is about, isn't it? You know, and it can drop down to as low as 50% again. And then...
Oh, lower than that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And then you get the impotence again and away you go, don't you? You know, but it's fascinating to listen to everyone's different story, and everybody is different. There's a kind of a common theme that runs through. That's why these people have chosen to go and live over here in New Zealand, isn't it? Yeah.
The reason that the reason I asked this question, in case you didn't listen to the first episode, in which I do encourage you to go back and listen to all of them, they're fabulous. But a friend called me up and said, look, you know, I'm really not sure about moving to New Zealand. I'm 40%. I think she was 40% or something like that. And I said to her, oh, you know, you should really be a bit more than that. I think it might have even been less than 40%. And we had this conversation and I was like, well, you know, maybe it's not for you. And then I put the phone down. I was like, I thought back 13 years rather, to when we were moving over. And I thought, do you know what, Liz? What are you talking about? There was some days, Brian, when I was like 10% and 90%. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I'm backing out. I don't want to do it. You know, that feeling of dread and like, so that's what made me reassess and go out to the community and say, what are you? You know, how do you feel? And that's why it's been fantastic listening to all their honest answers and the reasons why, you know, they want to move to New Zealand, because no one really asks you that, do they?
No, but they don't, because they don't want to know what you're doing, because they're just getting on with their life in their town or city or wherever it is. And it's like, please don't. I don't want to talk about that, because I can't even contemplate it. Yeah. So you do come up with a lot of buffers, don't you? Not buffers, but walls.
Brick walls,
walls, yeah. It's funny that in the community I was reading this morning, just before we did this podcast, Mike, who is actually moving to New Zealand December 2022. And he just said, can somebody please help me? Because I now have got 2 weeks of going to see the family before I leave. Oh, no. So can you imagine what that is like? It's just all of a sudden you're 100%, bang. It's because it's the negativity that's going to come from the family of like, well, you might never see me again. You're never going to do this again.
He needs to go and listen to the podcast, Breaking the News to Your Family. How to break the news to your loved ones. Yeah. But you listen to that, Mike?
But the trouble is, everybody jumped in, which was great to see. It literally within, I don't know, minutes or something, there was probably 10 and long answers what these people have been, everyone had been writing up, from Justin to
Just lots of people.
Yeah,
If you're,
Nikki
like I
and
say,
everyone.
if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, if you haven't heard us talk about our community before, we have a private membership group, an NZ Ahead private membership group where you pay to become a member, and once you're a member, you get hours and hours and hours of videos that we've created, private podcasts that we've created. We do a live Zoom call every month where we talk, have someone in the hot seat and talk about certain topics. But we also, and this is the gold, we also have a private membership Slack group. And that's what Brian is talking about. And that is the people that you're going to hear in a minute, where we just support each other in the big move to New Zealand. And like Brian just said,
we've got lots of channels there, you know, and actually where people are now settling, we have a channel for like Auckland, Timaru, Dunedin, Taranaki.
Yeah.
It's just
Tauranga.
it's great, isn't
Yes,
it? Like, you know,
yeah, it
it's
is.
just all these different things, and just like, you know, vehicles, what to buy, what to bring, shipping, packaging, housing, renting. It's great. Even the immigration channel with NZ Shores, and that's fantastic, isn't it, as well?
Yeah,
And
we've got an immigration
we'll hear
advisor.
from them later in the program.
Right, we'll tell you about how you can get in and join the membership later on in the show. But first of all, let's jump in. But before we jump in, Brian,
Yes.
how I just want to ask you, because I've never even asked you this, you know.
Yeah, how old am I?
Who are you? I mean, you turn up to do these podcasts with
Do you
me.
live in New Zealand? It sounded a bit English to me.
Brian, what was your percentage?
I didn't have much choice.
No, don't
No,
be silly.
I'm only joking.
No, not
Yeah.
with the wisecracks, please.
What was my percentage? I've said this before, Liz, that when I was a kid, growing up in England, we always saw New Zealand stuff, and every little picture you saw in a book or something, you always wanted to go and see it. It was that, you know, the breadbasket of the South, wasn't it? You know, the winter basket for England, or not for England, but for the UK. And I always grew up thinking I would one day like to go and see it, you know. And I remember Pete from EastEnders went to New Zealand, and I thought, I'd like to go and be a shepherd in New Zealand as well.
What, Pete? Kathy Beale's husband?
Yeah. It was
Poor
Pete,
Kathy.
wasn't it?
Poor
Yeah,
Kathy.
there you go.
Poor Kathy and Wilmot Brown. But anyway.
But so anyway, when you came out to see your sister and then said, Brian, we've got to move here. You had no intention of ever moving to there. We were moving to Canada.
Yeah.
So when you said yes, I was like, brilliant. That's a place I really wanted to go, because growing up through my teenage years and early adulthood, there was lots of travellers in Newquay, Cornwall, where I lived, and you met a lot of Kiwis and a lot of Australians. You know,
But my question is to you, throughout, so in the process, once we said, right, we're moving to New Zealand, and you started putting the house on the market, and you started packing in your job and selling your business, were you always, every day, 100% about moving to New Zealand?
Yeah.
Really?
I honestly...
Lie.
No.
There must have been days that you were like, oh, no, I don't want to. Really?
Well, it's the upheaval that would bring the percentage down, because the thought of having to do all that work to sell the house, to do this, but it was very exciting,
right,
to me, because
so on the whole, what percentage were you?
I probably would have instantly, I would have been like 80%, and then the more I thought about it, the more I started reading about the country and realizing this, that, and the other. Times I would look at it on Google, or was it Street View, Google Street View, and have a look at the where we were living, and it's very hard because the architecture's not very pretty, I don't think, in New Zealand.
I remember looking on that.
Seeing lots of wires in the, you know, around the housing estates and things like that. And it's just like, wow, we got rid of those a long time ago in the UK.
Where are we going?
Yeah, where are we going to? It's like some Hicksville or something, you know? And then you see a picture of New Plymouth and it'd be like, ooh, lots of tin roofs around here, like, you know? And that would make me back off. And not only that, I knew I was coming over as a plumber, and the thought of going under houses with, you know, spiders and things would just started to make me feel a bit freaky.
So on the whole, how many percentage?
Like I said, I would go down to about probably 80%.
80%.
Yeah, and then
Fluctuating.
Back up. Yeah, because the excitement side of it would always push me back up. The dread of actually working for a company, that made me come back a bit, because I was always self-employed back in the UK.
Right then, so okay, so
There we go. Anyway, I'll see you next week.
It was just a simple question, Brian. I just wanted to know.
80%. There you go. 100%.
Okay, let's jump straight in and listen to the lovely Ruth from England.
Yes, take it away, Ruth.
Hi, Liz and Brian. It's Ruth from Winchester in the UK here. And that's to your question. I think I fluctuate between about 99% and 50%. I think change is terrifying, it's exciting, it's full of new opportunities and also what ifs. The reality is you'll never know unless you've done it. And even then you're going to wonder if it was the right thing to do. I guess the more people you have involved, your children or parents or family, friends you're leaving behind, the greater the doubt, the guilt, the wondering. But nothing is forever. And I think, you can always change your mind.
Oh, that's
I love that. 'Cause you might not hear it after I've done it, but we just listened to that and you could hear the kids in the background.
Make sure you leave the kids in.
Well, I can do, but
definitely make sure you leave the kids in.
All right, but I have to bring up loudness and levels.
Yes.
And
but make sure you leave them in because it is so real. She's stood in the kitchen, I bet, and she's got all her kids around her. I can just see her.
I asked her to send the voice recording over and she said, "Oh, I've got everything going on this weekend. There's football, there's this," and and then it was about 10 days later. I just she realised she hadn't sent it, so she must have done it in a bit of a rush.
That's a real recording. That I loved it, and I love the way she said. I love loads of things what she said. I love the way she said, "Nothing is forever." Yeah. That's the way to look at it.
That's the way you look at life. It's like we have got a short time on this little rock floated around the sun, and you got to make the most of it. Yeah. And it's like I said last week, you keep talking about it, then do it, or otherwise just get on with your life where you are.
It's not final.
No, it's not.
That's what you've got to remember. It's like, I know, yes, it's not ideal. No one wants to come all the way to the other side of the world and go home again. Yeah. But you can.
Yeah,
you
can. Do you know what they have? What that's the saying, isn't it? Is the ping pong pong.
Yes, it is, but who cares?
It's, but the thing is, they come over and then they go back and then they think, oh my God.
I'm going back again.
Yeah, of course and within 5 years, my friend Michael came over, was working in the same company as me. He was the electrical side, I was the plumbing side. And within 18 months, 2 years, he'd moved back to England. 5 years later, I walked into the electrical merchants and there he was standing there. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he looked at me and said, what are you still doing here? And it was just like, then we went into business together again.
Yeah.
It was just like weird,
But no, I've always thought that. And, it's a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
Nothing's forever. It's fine. You can change it. Just it's not the end of the world. They're not just going to, pin you down and never let you leave.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the other thing I love the way she said as well is you never know until you try. So don't be sitting there. I always think I don't want to get to old age and think, oh, what if, what would it have been like? I just think give it a go.
Give it a go.
If you can, give it a go.
Put yourself at your comfort zone.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ruth. Okay, the next person we're going to hear from is Erik. Erik is currently in Gisbourne and he's going to tell you what his percentage is.
Yeah. Go Gizzy. That's what I say. Out on the East Cape, I think he's the only person we got out in Gisbourne, isn't it?
Hello, this is Erik, currently in Gisbourne, New Zealand. My wife and I moved from Syracuse, New York with our two boys, who are 2.5 and 6. This is in response to the question posed by the New Zealand Ahead community, what percentage certain we were to move to New Zealand before we left. It was a little bit different between myself and my wife. I was about 70% certain, and my wife was probably about 50% before we moved this past April. We both oscillated some from about 20% back and forth, depending on the day and the challenges we had at hand. We kept the process moving forward by knowing that it was all reversible. So if we went to New Zealand and it didn't work out, we could always move back to the U.S. or perhaps to Portugal, because we're both citizens of Portugal too. Now that we're in New Zealand, we find ourselves amazed at the time and at times scared that we like it so much. We frequently comment to each other that it would be very hard to leave this beautiful place that is ideal for raising our two young boys. It's still early days for us here in New Zealand. We've been here around 6 months now. So we do wonder if our feelings will change with time.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much, Erik.
He seems a lovely guy, doesn't he?
Oh, I love it. And do you know what? When Erik was... it just makes me so warm inside because my sister is from Gisbourne. You've probably heard me talk about that before. And when Erik was in that stage of, oh, should we, shouldn't we? What's it going to be like? I remember him telling me about his, what the doubts that his wife had and how, what was Gisbourne like? And I sent him, we were talking on a private message on Slack, and I sent him a couple of screenshots of an Airbnb in Gisbourne. And it was just, he sent it to me and he said,
Right.
what do you think of this?
Right.
Do you know where it is? And I knew instantly where it was because it was just down the road from my sister.
Right.
And I was like, I know exactly where that is. It is like paradise. You're not far from the local school. There's a little cafe on the corner. I could tell him all about it. And I just remember thinking, I can't wait to see what he's like when he gets there and when they settle in. So to hear him talk like that is just, it just makes me so happy. It really does. It just makes me so happy.
It does. And the option, I mean, everybody knows Portugal is a fantastic place. Option of Portugal or New Zealand.
To be honest, I've never been to Portugal, but I'm imagining it's quite like Gisbourne because Gisbourne is so hot, isn't it? It's always sunny.
It's always it's one of the hottest places in New Zealand. Every time we've been there, it's flabbergastingly hot, isn't it? Like, say around 30 degrees most days in the summer, maybe up to 40 degrees. Yeah, great wine, and that's the only thing we can do. And the only similarity that we can pull up to Portugal is it's on the same latitude as the South Island, where Central Otago is the same latitude as Portugal.
What does that mean? It's the same weather?
No, we're with the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, so the position from the equator is the same distance north to south.
Right. So what would that mean?
That's the only similarity I can pick up.
Yeah, but does that mean the weather's the same?
Well, it's not quite the same, is it? But the further north you go, it seems to be Gisbourne. It's in the North-South Island. There's probably 300-400 miles difference between Central Otago and there. So, but that's just a similarity. Yeah, I'm just babbling on here, but that's
I love that
fact.
Anyway, and I love the fact that he was really honest and said he was between them, him and his wife. There were some days that were down at 20%. And now, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, do you know what? I'm 20%. Listen to Erik now. It's just, that's how quickly it can change. That was just 6 months ago that he was filled with so much doubt and, like you say, 20% and all the rest of it. So thank you so much, Erik.
And that's what I love about that. People, when they say that, what is it that he is saying he likes so much about New Zealand? Is it the lifestyle now that he has there, that laid backness? Is it the weather? Is it the
he loves raising his kids there,
that's the safeness, and that type of feel about it, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, before we jump in and speak to Carly, we just want to take a moment to tell you about NZ Shores. NZ Shores is an immigration company that we love. Loads of people within our community use them. So just wait just a minute, Carly. We'll get right back to you. Let's hear from NZ Shores. Remember, if you're moving to New Zealand and you're looking for an immigration advisor to help you with all the process, the company we recommend are NZ Shores. The guys over there are absolutely brilliant. Loads of members of our NZ Ahead private community use them and they have raved about them, and that's why we recommend them. The brilliant thing about NZ Shores is they offer a free assessment. So if you're wondering whether or not you're eligible to move to New Zealand, you go to their website, you fill out a form, and they will contact you and tell you whether or not it's worth moving forward and how they can help you. And that's absolutely free. The way you can get to that assessment form is by going to www.nzshores.com/Liz. So that's nzshores.com/Liz. Go over there, fill out the form, and you will be in such good hands with NZ Shores.
Right, we're going to hear from Carly P, as we call her. Let's see what she's got to say.
Hi there. This is Carly from Denver, Colorado in the U.S. in response to the question on the New Zealand Ahead community post about what percentage we feel about moving to New Zealand. And I'd say for my wife, Courtney, and I, we were initially about 70%. We had our sweet 18-year-old dog who, just the thought of her having to fly under the plane and everything that goes around that, it just really made us pretty nervous. She passed away since then, since starting this journey. And honestly, I think it was, the best thing that could have happened. And now we're at 100%. We both, have the comforts of good jobs, good financial situation, and we love our lives here in the States, but we both love mountains and ocean. And so to be able to have those two things kind of all at once is just pretty exciting. Courtney lived there previously for a year, and it's always been on my bucket list to end up there someday. And we're just so excited to embrace the culture and the beauty of New Zealand and hopefully get to meet all you fun folks on this thread. And we're super excited to announce we're doing that with our new baby. So we'll be heading there hopefully mid-November with myself, Courtney, our other dog, Harlow, and our new little Peanut, little girl. So we're super excited.
Thank you so much, Carly. And before I go any further, a huge congratulations to you and Courtney. You must be so excited. You're going to have a little Kiwi girl.
I know. It's
so
a
happy.
Kiwi. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got a couple of babies within the community, and but this is the newest one. So really happy for you.
Yes.
And to hear that it's a big thing, the thing about the dog as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right? It comes up a lot in the community. That.
Yeah, and I just to help you out there, Carly, they don't actually fly under the plane. Yeah, they put them on the wing.
What are you talking about?
She's talking about being in the hold below, but it's like as if like she's flying you're flying underneath, the dogs are flying underneath. It just made me laugh when she said it, because it is a worry. That's that side of it, isn't it? But it's a fully pressurized place, and
but it's a big thing. We've had a few people now, come through, and they've got older dogs that aren't going to be able to make, or they think probably they won't be able to make the journey over here because it's a long way, isn't it?
It's huge, and all the things that they've got to go through, all the medicals and all that sort of stuff. It's not for everyone, and their dog, is it? No. And that's the hardship of having an older dog, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, this is what I'm saying about that community. It's just it's real life.
Well,
this is the people stuff have brought that happens.
Dogs and cats and things with them, haven't they? And that's
loads.
What's great, because we've got a whole channel which is just on pets.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever thinking, how much does it cost? Well, everybody knows how much it costs from England or the US or other places in the world. In South Africa, I think we've had some animals come over from there, haven't we, as well? Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting, you two. We're like I say, we're so happy for you, and thanks for taking the time to share that.
So happy for you that you're going to have a little Kiwi baby over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right. Okay, next up, moving on, we have got the lovely Ollie. Ollie is married to Nikki. They've just recently moved over to New Zealand. Him and Nikki have been with us right from the beginning. They're one of our founding members. We absolutely adore them. If you do buy the NZ Ahead guide, they've got a private podcast in there. They wouldn't let us put it public because they hadn't told their job yet. So
no, we hadn't had that.
Do you remember that? We were interviewing them, and they're chatting about how they feel. They're very close to their family, and they were all that went with it. But anyway, let's hear from Ollie.
Hi, Liz and Brian. My name's Ollie, and I'm from Auckland now. But before that, I was from Manchester in England. So in response to your question on the NZ Ahead forum about what percentage we feel about coming to New Zealand, I think if you went back about 4 years or so, when my wife Nikki and I first started talking about this, I was probably only about 50% because I felt guilty about the impact it would have on family and was worried about losing our support network. But if you roll forward to about January 21, when we really decided to go for it and we engaged New Zealand Shores to do our visa applications, I was more like 90%. And I think that's only really grown since then. And a lot of that's because the reason we're doing it is because we wanted to change and we wanted an adventure. So I'm kind of 100% committed to having that adventure, and part of the adventure is kind of going through the hard points, getting over those challenges. And like I say, I'm totally committed to that. And 2 months into our move, I've barely looked back, and I'm kind of loving every minute and just enjoying this opportunity to carve out a new life for ourselves.
Thank you so much, Ollie. That was such a lovely answer, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah, no, it was. I'm trying to write things down.
I loved it because you said about the process, going through the process. And it's so, we were only talking about that the other day, weren't we? About how, when things are hard, you tend to go, I just wish this part was over, and I wish we were like there. And, I wish, and actually you look back and living that is it's like a big, it all slots together, all the little pieces, doesn't it, to make the experience whole as it is.
It is, and it is whole. And so I know it's hard sometimes when you're going through stuff, but it is that process. You have to do it, but you have to embrace that process and enjoy it more than resent it. Can't wait for this, can't wait for it. It's just, just enjoy each step of the process. Because when you look back at it afterwards, you think, I wish we were doing that again.
I know, you do, don't you? Always, always.
Yeah. It was really exciting then, wasn't it? Like, we remember that and we did this and we sold all that stuff. And
do you ever sit there and think, I wish I was in the septic tanks again, cleaning out the poop?
Every day.
Just before we move on to speak to Ryan, I just want to say as well, Nick, like I say, they're founding members, Nikki and Ollie.
Yeah.
And Nikki was so nervous about, they've got little kids, and she was so nervous about the kids finding friends.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, in fact, I've copied and pasted it and put it on my computer in my special notes. She put a post up on the Slack group and she just said, I'm sitting here, the kids have got friends living next door. They're climbing over the fence saying, do you want to come and play? And they've all run off together down the street. And she said, my heart is just swelling with happiness. Yeah. And honestly, I nearly started crying when I read it. I was just like, oh, all that worry. And it was just, there you are, Yeah. They're just so happy for you guys.
I know.
And like you say, even if you, and you will, get days where you just think, oh no, this has happened, or I don't like this, or just remember what you said on this podcast. It's all part of the process.
All part of the process, and like 2 months into it and loving it, and just thinking, wow, And the thing is that when you say you have tough days, doesn't matter where you live in the world, you have tough days.
Of course you do.
Of course, it's not bad news or whatever it is, or you're having a tough day, and so it's just it could add to it. Being the other side of the world sometimes, because you don't have that same network as what you had back at home, but you just build it and make it so. And like you say, there is a great network that you can always. A lot of people just dump onto that onto our Slack community. I'm having a bad day, and everyone's like, "Oh, come on, it's going to get better."
Nikki's just met up. Literally, she met up with Nancy last Friday. Did you know that? Her and Nancy met up.
I know, and do you know what she said this morning on the Slack group? Can we start a new channel for the November meetup? Because something on Slack is only like you do 8 things or 8 messages or whatever it is. I didn't really quite understand what she said, but Miley set the channel up for us.
Oh, perfect.
And away you go. Yeah. So brilliant.
Right, moving on. I've got to say this before he starts speaking. I'm in love with Ryan's voice cry. I could listen to this message every night.
Yeah, I just
wait till you hear this.
You don't need sleep meditation when you've got Ryan being the dude. Yeah, it's just like, I'm going to say, I've got to find Ryan because he's just hiding in the corner somewhere, very quiet and very.
Take him out from under my pillow, Bri. Tell him to come out now.
I just think he just needs to go to Woodstock now. Oh, hang on a minute. Take it away, Ryan.
Hi, this is Ryan, former American, currently living in Auckland on the Hibiscus Coast. I think that if you're hovering around 70%, then that should be good enough. If we think about the other aspects of our lives and works and relationships, if we're good 70% of the time, then it's probably the right thing. I think it's too much to get people to expect to get to 90% of anything, because even in our partners and jobs, kids, whatever, every once in a while they annoy us, right? That's just normal life. So give yourself a little room to doubt, and when you question, it tends to make things more valuable once you do commit. But that could just be my opinion.
And of course, we love your opinion, Ryan. Thank you so much.
He gets called the sage on the Slack group by, I think it was by Nikki today, actually, or someone like that. You know, because he just comes out, everyone's getting up in a bit of a tough time, because I think Mike was having a tough time, like I was saying before, and Ryan just comes in and calms it and goes,
he's lovely.
Hey, do you know what? This, that, and the other. And he's so great to have on board with us, like, you know, and he's just always there.
Do you know what, Ryan? If you're listening to this, and you better had be, young man, I think you should get rid of your job in IT, all that technical thing that you do, and just start this podcast for women who just need calming down and reassuring. Because I tell you what, your voice is just lovely. It's just like you say, it's just so calming.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks before he speaks as well, doesn't he? He's not like me. But...
Yeah, Ryan was the pioneer of our Mulry channel.
Yes, he was.
And he just comes up with some great, just little bits of...
Yeah, these proverbs, these Mouldy proverbs, and they're just beautiful. They're absolutely lovely. Yeah, I forgot that he did that. Oh, Ryan, like I say, our channel wouldn't be what it is without him. He's magnificent. Yeah. I've interviewed him loads of times on the podcast.
It just about sums everything up what we've said. I mean, I've been trying to say, oh, you know, you can always go home, you can always do this, and it's just like, well, and that, like, it's just you're gonna have days like this.
Give yourself some grace.
You're not real if you don't.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. And I love that. I love what he said about that. Just go for 70%. It's so true, isn't it, Brian? I never thought about it like that, actually. Like, who says 100? You don't have to be 100%.
You only need to be 52%. That means you're more than the 48% that wants to stay at home.
No, we're going to go with Ryan's answer of 7. Stop trying to be better than Ryan and try to put your...
saying,
and stop trying to talk sexy.
It's only because I've had...
Right. Okay, we're at our last person. And before we meet Ivory, I've got to tell you, she doesn't tell you this in the thing, but she's got a family of 6. She's a busy lady. Yeah. And
I listened to this before, and it does make me laugh, though, when she says, in our old age. I'm like, come on, Ivory. Well, you're a young whippersnapper.
Yes. She's a writer, and she's just... Yeah, I just love her. She's absolutely, and we've watched her go through the ups and downs. But anyway, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let's jump in and listen to Ivory.
This is Ivory, and we are 100% ready to leave the USA and give our kids the opportunity to feel the largeness of the world and like they have a place in it. It's the roots and wings idea. Our kids know where they come from, and now I get to show them the possibilities of where they can go. Seeing us make this big leap in our old age plants that seed that nothing is impossible for them. The percentage has been growing with every step of the process, and now that I know that this is a real option for our family, if we were told we could not give it a shot, aka if our visas were resoundingly denied, I would be so crushed. Once we get there, I can see hurdles that might send us home with our tail between our legs in a few years, but right now, we're 100% committed. Just a small update. Since I left this comment a couple months ago, we have made the jump. We are now north of Auckland, and we are more committed than ever. We are here on accredited employer work visa, but we've already started our residency application. I can definitely say that we would not have made it this far without Liz and Brian and the entire Slack group. We were constantly asking questions, finding support, finding camaraderie when things weren't going the way we expected them to. So we are so grateful, and we're here. We did it. Yay.
Woo!
Yes.
Don't you just love that? Thank you so much, Ivory. Welcome to New Zealand, my darling. Oh, I just
welcome
love it.
home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was fabulous. And thank you for your lovely, kind words. I just love the way she said roots and wings. Only a writer would say that.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the roots of where you know where you're from, but the potential now to spread those wings and go wherever the possibilities are endless, aren't they?
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
And the other thing, Brian, I love that she said as well, which is so true, is, if you are having these doubts and you're like, oh, I don't know, should we, shouldn't we? Just imagine how you would feel if the government or New Zealand just turned around and said, actually, we're not letting anyone else in, so it doesn't matter. You don't need to
whatsoever.
worry. Yeah, you're not coming in anyway.
We've got enough people now. We've got enough skills.
Imagine how you would feel. You'd just be like, I didn't mean I was only 40%. I'm in 140. So, that's another good way to look at it. It's like, okay. All right,
that's
then.
it. And
imagine what you feel like.
Don't forget, Immigration New Zealand listen to these podcasts, and if you're not 100%, then you won't get in.
Yes, exactly. So we hope that you enjoyed this mini-series where you've got to meet our wonderful, wonderful community members. Yeah. Thank you to each and every one of you that's
just
contributed.
A small section of them as well,
gosh,
isn't it? Like, there's loads more in there, so it's just, I don't know. It's been great. I've really, really enjoyed reaching out to everybody and getting all these recordings from them, because it makes me feel warm inside and happy to know that we're doing something good to help people.
Yes,
it really, really does. And I'm just so thankful. Everybody says thank you, Brian, for doing what you're doing, and Liz for what you're doing, but I'm so thankful for you guys for what you've done for us as well. To help out.
Here. That's really that's you're a sage.
Well,
you're a sage,
Ryan, get over. Stop building your part, will you?
No, absolutely 100%. That's what I think too. I'm like, if it wasn't for you, and people say, you've created this gorgeous group and it feels we couldn't have done it without this group. But what you've got to remember is like attracts like. And that is why that's why you feel this unity and this bond with each other, is because you've all attracted each other.
That's right.
It's just, it honestly, It's wonderful.
Yeah.
If you would like to know more about how you can become a member of the NZ Ahead community and you can put your voice forward and ask a question.
Yeah, get on the podcast
and be
as
on
well.
the podcast. Yeah, we're more than happy. If you want to just put your name forward, send us a private message. But if you want to know how to become part of this wonderful community, head over to
www.nzahead.com/free. That's www.nzahead, if you're American, obviously, .com /free.
And take the free 5-day video guide that we offer. That's absolutely free. Every day for 5 days, you are sent a video about some aspect of life in New Zealand that you will not know about. This is some aspect of life that you probably will never find on the internet. When you get to day 5, you will be given the option to go further and become a member of our NZ membership. It's got to be NZ, right? Because it rhymes with ahead.
I know it
NZ.
does. I know, but Americans, they like to say Z. A bit like Zealand, but it's got to have an E and an A to make it Z.
But if they're moving to New Zealand, they're going to have to start saying NZ.
I know.
Because that's what it is.
Yep.
So,
yep.
You know.
I totally agree. NZ it is then. www.nzahead.com /free.
Yes. So until next time, thank you so much to our wonderful, wonderful community members. You are all fabulous. You're all adventurers. You're going to make your dream happen, if not already. And we just can't wait to connect with you and, hopefully meet up one day in the future.
Well, we definitely will be meeting up one day. We've got a big fun run next March, haven't we?
Yes,
Which
we have.
A whole bunch of everybody are going to be walking around the mountain. I don't know why I said I'd do that, but
well, I'm on the support team. I'm not running.
You're driving the car, aren't you? Yeah.
You're on the support team. You don't have to run.
No, I'm actually one of the team members.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yes.
Since when?
Yeah, and you're my support person.
No, I'm not. I'm the one at home, chilling the wine.
You and Dan are helping out, I believe.
Right, okay. So until next time, take care. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, so kia kaha, stay strong. Kia u, stay true, and that's true to yourself. Get yourself over here. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We have loved having you here with us.
If you loved this week's show, please share this with your friends. Send it to anybody you know that wants to think about moving to New Zealand, and get on over here yourself.
And tell them how brilliant it is as well. And also, if you haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide showing you what life is like, really like, in New Zealand, then go over to the website and sign up. You are missing out. This is brilliant. Go over to www.nzahead.com/free and we will send you 5 days worth of videos about what life is like in New Zealand. You are going to love it. So one more time, that website that you need to sign up for the free 5-day guide is www.nzahead.com/free. So we're going to see you next week. Until then, have a great week and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye again. Bye.
Bye.